Greetings, Earthlets. It's your old pal GateKeeper here. We've got quite a few announcements to make this week before we get to the comic books. First and foremost, it's nearly Free Comic Book Day, and for the first time in over 2 years, we're actually going to be doing it on the proper day. So, mark your calendars, Earthlets, because Saturday, the 7th of May, is Free Comic Book Day. So, mark your calendars, 7th of May, Free Comic Book Day. But a little bit closer to the present time, this weekend, it's the Star Walk at Trinity Walk. Our neighbours are having a host of comic book and movie stars and cars, and they're raising money for the Forget-Me-Not Children's Hospice. Speaking of, don't forget, you've got until this Saturday to subscribe to our YouTube channels. If you do, we'll donate 1 comic book for each subscriber to the Forget-Me-Not Children's Hospice. So please, do it for the kids. I think at the moment we're in the mid-60s. It'd be really great if we could get to the 100 mark by Saturday. Come on, Earthlets, I know together we can do it. And so now let's have a look at this week's comic book, shall we? So up first from DC Comics, we've got Flashpoint Beyond. After sacrificing everything to help the Flash put the universe together and save Bruce Wayne's life, Thomas Wayne wakes up in a world he thought was no more. Forced to don the cowl once again, Batman prowls the streets of Gotham City, searching for answers to how this world still exists. But what he starts to uncover will send him hurtling around the globe. The hunt for the Clockwork Killer starts here with Flashpoint Beyond. Staying with DC Comics, but moving over to the Sandman universe, it's the Sandman universe Nightmare Conjury. Sometimes nightmares walk the earth. Every night when you sleep, the Lord of Dreams chooses the path you'll follow into a Sylvian Elysium or down the hallways of your darkest fears. And sometimes, if its dreams will, those nightmares escape those halls and go out into the world. But it is not a choice he makes lightly. Today, the Corinthian walks the earth again. The most feared of all dreams' nightmares, his ravenous mouth, have made him a legend among serial killers. Letting the Corinthian out amongst mortals is the most dangerous thing Dream could possibly do. But he has no choice, because there's another nightmare walking the earth, one that must be hunted, and this monster is the one that Dream, the lord of all nightmares, did not make. Scary goings on in this new issue out tomorrow. And now moving over to IDW Publishing for something a little more lighthearted, it's the Rocketeer, The Great Race. Ace stunt pilot Cliff has returned from his New York adventure to the West Coast steeped in paranoia over the looming war in Europe. Having finally had enough of his near-death escapes as a high-flying Rocketeer, the only thing in Cliff's crosshairs is the Great Race, a prestigious winner-takes-all air race that runs from California to France. Maybe it's finally time to smarten up and fly straight by taking his best girl Betty to Paris. But other parties want to win the race for their own nefarious ends, and Cliff will need to decide which prize is truly the most valued of all. Which would you decide? Find out when you pick up your copy in store tomorrow. Now moving over to Image Comics with another spooky looking comic. It's A Town Called Terror. Henry West is brutally kidnapped in the middle of the night, while his wife Julie watches terrified. Henry awakens to the reality of his whereabouts, but Julie, with no evidence of the phantom crime, is unable to get help to search for him. A new series from the minds of cutting-edge art creators Stephen Niles and Simon Krudansky, This Creepy Going On, is available in store tomorrow. Staying with Image Comics, it's their new release of Image Comics. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of the first Image comic with a year-long parade of all-new stories from some of the biggest and best names in comics. Featuring a combination of ongoing serials and standalone short stories, this inaugural issue kicks off with the first chapters of 2 12-part stories: The Blizzard by Jeff Jones and Andrea Muti, and Red Stitches by Brendan Fletcher and Babs Tarr. Plus, the opening installments of a trio of 3-parters, Gospel for a New Century, Loop Hopeless, and Shift. There's also previews of upcoming series such as Old Dog and the new ongoing comic strip by Scotty Young. So, for all things Image, get Image Comics, in store tomorrow. And finally, with only one new release this week from Marvel Comics, we're going back to the 90s. And if I grab my kazoo, see if you can guess where we're going. That's right, it's everybody's favorite 90s incarnation of the X-Men, and they've returned, but this time, everything is even all newer and all more different. Mutant kind is taking a huge leap forward by finding their own nation on the island of Krakoa. Guided by Professor X, Magneto, and a mysterious long-lived woman who knows more than she should. That's right, the 90s X-Men are tackling the Krakoan age 30 years early. And it's not going to go the way you expect. So, find out how it does in tomorrow's new release of X-Men 92, The House of X92. Well, Earthlets, that's all from the new releases this week. So, a final thing to let you know. Since it's the Easter holidays this weekend, we have posted our opening times over the social medias, which, by the way, if you're not following us on our social medias, you probably should. You're missing out on loads of geeky goodies every day. So follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, hey, even here on YouTube's at WAKEFIELD COMICS-616. So, I've been GateKeeper, and until next week,